Happy Thursday. I cannot believe it's December 4th. This feels crazy. Um, so this is our last webinar for the year, which is unbelievable also. So next time we have one of our monthly webinars, it'll be in January. Crazy. So I have not thought yet about what we're actually going to do in January. So if anyone has anything they want, education training wise to start the year, let's do it. Send it, put it in the chat box. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next year. Except for what would you say, of course, in the mornings? Okay, so let me give you a rundown of what we've got today. So we did this same presentation a few weeks ago, and it so happened that like half of the class couldn't get in. Let's hope that's not happening again today. Um, but since we had so many that wanted to be on and missed it, I said that I would go ahead and reschedule it. So we're doing it again. The second part is I did not leave any workshop time. And I think that's what a lot of you really, really, really need. So the plan for today is we've got 2 hours scheduled. I don't think we'll need all 2 hours, but I wanted it in case you need it. I'm here to help you if you want to stay on the whole 2 hours and workshop and do things. But the intention is we're going to start with some content stuff, just some overall marketing things, some stuff you need to have thought about before you get into actually planning for 2026. And then we'll actually dive into the plan and see what's happening. Okay. And actually build that out for you. So, all right, let's get going. Let me make sure I share the right screen this time. And I have a feeling we'll keep having people come on. Hold on 1 second. I want to push one more button before I do that. There we go. Now let me share that. Okay. Now I think I've got it. Let me know if you can see my screen. Great. And then my AirPods have been awful. So I want you guys to tell me, throw it in the chat box. Dan, wave your hand or whatever. If my AirPods start going in and out or something, let me know if they start sounding crazy. Okay, so let's get started. So we're going to jump into the marketing plan and why it's so important to have a marketing plan and so important to have it built right now, right? This is the time. You want to get all of this stuff put in place over the next few weeks so that when January 1 comes, you can go, right? And just start making your calls, making your contacts. Okay, so that's the intention of this, is to have this all set up for you and a lot of set it and forget it stuff that you can do now. Here's why it is the absolute most important part. And here's where I come from as a coach and where I created my business from as well, that the most important value in your business is the relationships you have. Okay, I'm starting an AI companion. If that's anyone's, let me know. Sorry. So what this quote says right here is absolutely the truth. And what all of you agents, print this on your wall if you have to continue to remind yourself of this. This was a podcast called The Real Estate Insiders, and I love it. It's a really good one. Dan Foodie was on there, but this is the quote and just the description of the podcast. He warns that agents risk losing their sphere to the Zillows of the world unless they master personalized outreach and transform their relationships into a sustainable differentiator. Okay. I hope that hits you guys big and hard, right? Because you will not have a place in the industry. The third party onlines will take over if you don't have a personal relationship with them, right? Because if they don't have someone they know, love, and trust to call about real estate, they're going to go to the next best thing, which is online. Okay. So that is your job, is to make sure you are keeping control of your database at all times. And you are the one getting the value out of it by transforming the relationships and that being your differentiator. Okay. So here's how we're going to do this and talk through today. Make sure my screen is moving too, because I can't see what you guys see. So let me know if it's not. Okay, so the goals for today. We're going to, no, I don't think you see that yet, do you? Goals for today? You see that now?
It's very small.
It is.
Yeah.
Can you, that might be the arrangement on your screen, Sue. So you might have to expand it.
Like your window, Julie, is not
Yeah,
full.
your window's
Got it.
small.
Got it. So you're
Thank
seeing
you.
the notes and stuff too. Yep. That's what always happens. It ends up sharing the wrong screen. Okay, so hold on one second and let me get the right one up here because these are good and I want to make sure you see them. All right, and you know what? Maybe this could be a nightmare, but let's see. We might present this way. Okay, so sorry if I start editing screens and stuff, but I think it'll be the best way for you to be able to view it.
Yeah, there you go.
Does that look better? Because
Yeah.
see, in Canva, if you do the present, then it gives you different screens and stuff. Okay, so is that better?
Yes.
Okay, so our goal today, we're going to go through the big key things you've got to know. Okay, you've got to know about your business currently and your goals for next year and where you want your business to go. Okay, then we're going to talk about how marketing can help you get and reach and support those goals. Okay, the third thing we're going to look at is, sorry, I want that rearranged so I can see it, is actually building your plan for next year. So let's get into it. So you guys have seen these numbers before. If you, did that just get smaller for you?
Yeah.
Dang it. Okay.
But
Um,
it's you can read it, but
yeah,
it is
well,
smaller.
I don't know why it's doing that. Now I lost my screen to be able to get it off. Okay, I'll keep working on it. But let's look at these stats while I keep playing with this for a minute. These are the important numbers you need to know. 88% of people used a realtor the first time. 91% said that they would use their agent again. However, only 20%, 26% actually did. Okay. So the reason you need a marketing plan is to bridge the gap between that 91 and that 26% of people who are going to actually use you again. Okay. So it is true. When you leave the closing table, everyone feels like you will see each other again for the next transaction, right? I hope every time you leave,
Mhm.
you feel that way. They feel that way. You feel that way, right? And it's your job then to maintain that relationship for the rest of the time to make sure when it comes time for them to do something, they do actually use you again. Okay, hold on. I'm going to stop share now. See if I can do that. Oh, there it is. Okay. Good thing we've got plenty of time. I'm sorry, guys. It's this silly Canva. I almost downloaded it and was like, I'm just going to use a downloaded version. Is that? All right, let's see what happens now. I'm not going to move anything. I'm just going to share and have you guys be over top of it because I know this stuff. Okay, now, how's that look for you guys?
Good.
Good. Okay, this is where I need to be. I just can't see you guys then, so sorry about that. And I look up here. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We got to know your numbers, right? You got to know where you are. You got to know where you're going. We're going to identify that exact gap today. And then we're going to create a plan for you on how to fill that gap in the next 12 months. And of course, you have to track your results all the time. So we are going to have a system for you to be able to track and input your things into an amazing marketing plan that you can have out and in your world as you need it to see all the time. Okay, so let's start with this. This is the first number. If this is not written everywhere in your space, it needs to be. 6% of everyone you know will move in the next 12 months. 6% of everyone you know. Okay. And it is proven over and over and over and over and over and over again. Every time I have new clients that we're coaching into getting in touch with their sphere, it never misses. 6% always sell. The thing is are they going to sell with you or are they going to sell with someone else that they met more recently than you? And that's typically the only thing it is. They may know you better, but they ran into someone else just more recently closer to their sale. Okay. So, number one, you all need to look at how many people you have in your sphere. And I want you to put that on your calculator. How many people are in your sphere? If you don't have a good sphere yet, that's one of your first to-dos in the next couple weeks is get your sphere organized, put together, right? And understand what the value of your sphere is. So if I have 150 people in my sphere, right? 150 people in my sphere, that leads to 9 closings next year. Just think about that. Of 150 people you know, it is likely 6 or 7 of them, right, are going to move. And it is likely they might do a buy sell, a couple of them, right? Okay. So you have to know that. You have to know how many closings are in your sphere. Okay. The other part of that is there are 9 more closings because 6% of everyone your sphere knows is also going to move in the next 12 months. So if you do a good job tapping into those pieces of business, if I know 150 people, I should be able to create 18 closings out of that. Okay. So I want you to take a minute and I want you to do that math. I want you to put in the number of people you have in your sphere and I want you to multiply it by 12. And I want you to write that number down somewhere. Okay. Put in the chat box or tell me when you've got it. Give me a thumbs up when you know that number. This number should be written on a Post-it in your world, every single place. I have this many closings in my sphere, this many closings in my sphere. Now tell me, how many of you, if you did that many closings next year, you'd hit your goals? That number you wrote down? Nope. Okay. So we've got some that say yes, I'll hit my goals with that many people, and some that say no. Okay. So here is where we're headed next. Now that you know the gap, you have 2 options. Okay. You either have enough people to hit your goals, you're in the yes, but it's not happening yet. I'm not getting that from it. I know the people, but they're not doing that. Julie, I don't believe you. That's what I hear all the time. There's no way that'll happen. I don't believe you. Right? Until you start doing it. Then you believe me. Okay. So you either have enough people and you need to get better return out of them, or you're on that no side and you need to add more people to your sphere. You need a bigger sphere. Okay. And here are the strategies to do either one of them. And I want you to truly focus on the column you need. Okay. Because you likely don't need both, right? You need one or the other, and focus on the column you need. If you need better return, you need to do more touches and probably more consistently. You might be doing just one type of touch and you need to diversify it. Not diversity it, diversify it. Sorry, I'm trying to. Actually with my agent, Christine. Okay, there we go. So can also do different things. If you've always mailed to people, maybe try to email, try to call them, try to text them, right? You always have to call. That's the number one thing that everyone misses. Okay, there's all sorts of things we can talk about with that to get you over that hump and that mindset of reaching out to your database. But today, I just want to emphasize the fact that you must learn how to do that and do it easily for yourself and not make it scary. Okay, you can't miss anyone in your sphere. A lot of the times that's what happens is you have enough people, but you only talk to and see and keep in touch with the ones that are real easy to do and you miss the other ones. Okay. The other key part of increasing the return is getting more referrals out of them. You've got to know that other number. How many referrals should I be getting? And how many have I already identified for next year? Okay. Then, if you don't have enough people and you have to add to it, this is where you've got to go and find more people. Okay. So, gut check your social media followers, make sure they're in your database, friends of friends, phone contacts. You should all go to your phone and go through it. Is there anyone I programmed in recently that didn't make it to my CRM? Any email addresses you might have or gathered over the year, and on and on. Okay. The big one is if you need to create a plan around meeting more people, then you do it. And that is where your marketing plan should be focused for this next year is how do I meet more people? How many people do I need to meet? And how am I going to add them into my database? Okay. Any questions on that one before we go? Because I want you to be real clear on that screen and what your strategy is. Feel good? Okay. Uh-oh. Let's keep moving. Okay, this one. This is a high level how I used to just narrow down my, okay? So this is how I would categorize them so that I could see who had the most value to me, okay? Do not get stuck on what you call them. People call them all sorts of things, right? But this is based on the relationship you have with these people, okay? So that's how you want to mark them. If you want them to be VIPs, do it. If you want A pluses and A's, do it, right? If you want to call them nothing, someone else got the idea to call them KTNs, no love and trust, whatever. It does not matter. Don't get stuck on what you call them. You just have to have them organized, okay, and categorized because you have got to know how many people you have in this A-B section, which is going to give you the highest return, okay? And in order to qualify them as the most valuable to you, where you can absolutely get the highest return, you have to know that they would refer to you and that they would work with you personally. Okay, so you have to ask those questions. The other part is you have to have every way to get in touch with them and hit them from every angle. Okay, if you don't have that opportunity to reach them, they're going to automatically fall down here because you can't be as consistent with your touches and you can't be as diverse with your touches. Okay, does that make sense? So if you're not getting the value, it could go back to some of this stuff too. Maybe you don't have them where they should be. Okay,
What
these should
what does it mean
yes.
when you say need to have 4x4?
Okay, so 4 of the 4. If you're
Oh,
going to get
okay.
the highest
Gotcha.
return on those people, you have to have all of those things.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you can't just have their phone number or you can't just follow them on social.
Okay.
Okay. But you could have 3 things and they could still be a C and some value. You could even have one thing. You could have a phone number from an open house and they're still valuable to you, right? But they're just farther down. In order to make them more valuable, you do need a way to get their address, right? And send them things in the mail and touch them that way, to call them, to do all the stuff. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so again, don't get caught up with the tags, but you have to have a way to organize all your people of some sort. Now, here's the other thing that I run into a lot that holds people up from being able to take this step right here. It's hard to do in a CRM oftentimes. If you haven't sat down and put all your people organized nicely, you may have to export it onto a spreadsheet and then add a column and do it on that spreadsheet and then re-upload it. Okay, because that helps you kind of look at everyone. It helps you kind of organize them, get a feel for where they're at. Okay, so if you're having trouble in your CRM, don't let that stop you. Just export it and go and do it somewhere else. Okay, but this is truly what's going to tell you. So now we saw, okay, I have 150 people. Do I have 150 A's and B's or do I have 150 C's and D's? Right? So if they're C's and D's, I will not get that 6% return. That's where I've got to work on these and make sure I've got all my people over here to get that highest return. Does that make sense? Any questions on that one? Okay. So now this is the important part. Okay. So this is the marketing strategy that goes with each section of your sphere. Okay. So we're going to say the A's and B's. That is your most important people, the people you have all the contact information for that have bought, sold with you, would anyways, love you so much, and refer to you. Okay. Then you've got this next section of your C's and F's right here. So these are the people you know, right? You've had some engagement, but you're not totally sure. Are they ready to go? Are they completely sold on you, right? You've got some work to do before you can move them up to here. So the marketing plan for this group is going to be half as much marketing plan for this group. Okay. Does that make sense? So while they're not as valuable to you, you still have to touch them consistently. You still have to be diverse. However, you don't have to do it quite as much. Okay. And then we'll talk about the people you don't know in just a minute. So just stay with me in the marketing plans here. These are the recurring touches you should have at a minimum. A minimum. I literally listened to a podcast this morning, and she has 100 touches for every person every year in her sphere. And she is doing over 2,000 closings a year solely on her sphere. Crazy. 2,000 closings a year just based on her sphere from doing 100 touches to them. And she doesn't do any cold calling or any open houses or anything like that. Pretty powerful. And here you go. 24, 50, 54, all your social media. This is probably about what that is when you put it all together. Okay. Because you need 2 mailers a month. And the reason is just to touch them twice a month with that piece, right? Then you need 2 emails a month. So they're getting something every week from you. They're getting a mailer, an email, a mailer, an email. Okay, every single month. Now, it's important again to diversify your content. And here's how I recommend. So we would have stock mailers. What I call a stock mailer, and I actually have a screen for it. You know what? Let's wait on that. Hold on. Let me see. Yep. It's in 2 screens. Okay. So a stock mailer is something that you can send with not much personalization. It has your name, it has your picture, but ultimately it's just one thing, right, that you could kind of get from anywhere. You could get it from your broker oftentimes. You can get it from title companies, things like that. Okay. So that's going to be just your stock mailer. It's not personal necessarily to you in this message. Then you need some personalized mailers. Okay. And we're going to dig into what do I mean by personalized mailers as we start laying all this stuff out. Okay. But you really need both. The key of the personalized mailers is to really get into the nitty gritty, right? So the stock is going to tell them you're a realtor. The personal ones are going to be now how you build the relationship directly with them, how you show them you're the local market expert, how you create that trust that you know what you're doing, right? That you're successful in your business, and you create that place that they feel safe to come and work with you and send people your way, because now they get a feel for what it's like to actually work with you. Okay, so that's what we're doing with the personalized stuff. Then you need the same thing for emails. Okay, so 2 emails a month. You need 12 stock, right? So that can be anything from your neighborhood news, your home updates, all sorts of those kind of things. If you want to send a market update and it's just right, same information can go out to everybody. The personalized mailers then would be taking that another step, right? So making sure that your personalized emails, making sure that you're digging deeper with that email information, right? And emails where you can put a lot of stuff on one. Your postcard kind of gives you a big summary. Your email, you can go into high level detail on the same exact information, and then you can take that all to social. Okay. You're also going to work all of this into one theme, topic, plan. Okay. Then you're going to set it up. Here's also what you need to budget for. Okay. So whether you're able to do it now for mailers or not, that's okay. Start with what you can and just understand until you get to this level, you may not have that full return. Okay. And that's okay. But this is your goal to get to that. And I want you to budget off of being able to pay for that. Okay. It doesn't mean you have to, but budget for it, set your goals around it. So you know if you wanted to get the highest return, what would it cost you? Okay. So that's why it's important too. Emails, phone calls, free. Social media for the most part, unless you have some help posting them. Okay. So that's important. The only thing you really have to budget for is your mailers here. We're going to do a whole entire call on farming G's. Okay. This is the people you don't know yet. We're not going to go into all of this today, but the goal here is to get someone you don't know, go out and farm it, a neighborhood, a business, an organization, whatever, and build the relationship so you can then turn them from G's and put them into your sphere. And those you're going to hit hard and fast right away and build a relationship with. But again, just kind of shelf those for now. Okay. So the key for your marketing overall strategy, okay, is I want your marketing to be marketing focused, right? Where you're sending things out that are marketing, but then you're enhancing all of that information with prospecting. Okay. The other way to say this is use the information on your marketing to be the reason you're calling them. Okay. So if you set up your marketing plan correctly, you'll never run out of reasons to call your people because it's going to go right in line with what your marketing is here. Okay. And here's some examples. Let's do some of these other ones. This is an easy one. If you're having an event, if you're eventizing someone, right, you call to invite them. A lot of us will text, that kind of stuff, right? But if you want to enhance your prospecting by it, you're going to call them. Okay. Same thing on market insights. So market updates, any of the market updates, make sure that you're taking and giving them your insight into those numbers. Okay. So it's one thing to just show them. Boop, 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 here's the numbers. It's the next and the most important part for you to explain them. Here's the number I watch, and here's why it is important to you if you're considering real estate in this area. Right? Here's what that means to me. Here's what that tells me. Here's what that might mean. Okay. So make sure you're doing that and then take a moment to call them. Hey, I wanted to let you know I just sent out the real estate numbers for the month. If you have any questions, let me know. Right? If you want to know what I watch or what I pay attention to, let me know. Okay. But take the opportunity to make that call to just follow it up. Okay. Okay, ideal client. This is one I'm going to do fairly fast because I'm going to tell you the high level. Number one, I put this prompt into Chat GPT. If you are questioning who your ideal client should be or is, I want you to go put it in Chat GPT. I'm a realtor in the Indianapolis area. What should my ideal client be to sell the most houses in whatever county, whatever city, in Indianapolis? Doesn't matter what you put in, right? Whatever you want to put in there, put in there. And then chat will just pull out, here's your demographics. Here's what the average person in the area you put looks like. And here's how you might position your messaging and strategy to target them. Okay. You don't have to come up with ideas anymore, guys. Chat will do it all for you. That's the wonderful part, right? And then look at these. And my chat knows me. Value proposition. And it gives me one about me as a working mom with 3 kids and high professional expectations, right? I get what it's like. I bring systems and strategies so your listing gets sold while you keep the life you want. Okay. So see, it absolutely gets to know you, and then it will tailor all of this to you, who you are in your messaging, which is the coolest part. Right. But amazing ideas. So number one, if you do not have a clear idea of your ideal client, go put it in a chat and find out who that should be. I'm going to give you one secret. It's definitely a seller. Okay. That seller that is buying is your ideal client. Now remember, ideal client does not mean you won't work with other people. It just means if you could get to the most valuable people, how would you speak to them? Okay, so you want to make sure that your ideal client is clear so that your messaging aligns with that. Okay, so if your ideal client is someone who currently owns a property and all your messaging is to first time home buyers, you're going to miss those people. Does that make sense? So you have to know your ideal client and you have to tailor your marketing message to that ideal client. Okay. The other thing you need to do when you're in chat and you're doing this process is tell chat to ask you what you need to know about your ideal client to service them best. Okay. Ask it questions. What questions should I be asking to create my ideal client? Right? How might I go out and get in front of my ideal client? Right? It'll do all that work for you. So just use it. Okay. That's why we're not going to dig into that anymore and make you do it because now it's all done. Okay. This slide is important because it gives you where to go. Okay. So your stock messages for your mail, your email, your social media, and your phone call. Here's some ideas of places you can go. Okay. Not every place is going to have them. Not every brokerage has them, right? But some do. Okay. Note this. AI, use it, right? Any of your personalized messages can absolutely go through AI and be created for you there. That used to be the hardest part of marketing 2 years ago, is figuring out what you were going to write and send and all that stuff. And now that's all done for you. So it's awesome. And then remember, everything that works for direct mail works for email. Okay. So don't overthink it. And then you're going to take the mailer message and the email message and you're going to break it down into 12 bite-sized parts. And that's what's going to become your personalized messages for your social media. Okay. And then you have to call every quarter. Okay. So the stock messages, I mean, that would be in your scripts, of course. And then personalized messages. This was the exact schedule I followed for my reach outs. This is how I mastered it and made it easy for myself. I started with what are your real estate goals for this year, prompted them on what they might be. What kind of goals should you be thinking about, right? Is it adding on? Is it doing updates for your house? Do you want to sell it? Do you need to know what your equity is so you can reinvest it, right? But you have to prompt them for that. What do they need your help with? Second quarter, I always focused on asking directly for referrals. Third quarter, something sticky, something that you can eventize. And I want you to keep remembering that word, eventize, because my sticky quarter 3 thing was the quilts magnets. Okay. And a lot of you do that in that time, something that's going to stick on their wall, something that you can make a little bit more special to them and create more of a buzz around. Okay. That's what that something sticky is. And then in the fourth quarter is just saying, thank you. Thanks for your support this year. Right? Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever. Get your pie. I'm delivering goodies, right? All that kind of stuff. That's the greatest thing, is the way to add that to everything. Okay. This I was going to pull out of here for today's, but you know what? I thought I'd leave it in here because this is the breakdown of a successful prompt and some of the things you might want to think about. Okay. So we're not going to go through it, but if you go to AI and you're trying to do some of this stuff and you're like, oh, it's just not getting it, come back here and take some of these, right, little suggestions on what you might use and do and change it a little bit. And then if you have any questions or anything, you guys know to reach out to me. Okay. We will send after this all of the slides, the recording, and the tools that you need and you're going to work on here today. Okay. So you can have that one in there. Okay. Now I switched this around a little bit. So here's what this is. If you can see behind me. Oh, sorry, buddy. I made it poster size. Okay. And I put it in a poster frame. Okay. I know you may not be able to see that very well. See that back there on my wall? Mm-hmm. So that is what, if you can do a legal size to just write on at your desk. That's this left one. So if you just want to print it on your own at a legal size to write on, download the left. If you would like to take it to CVS and have them print it for you, that's the link to do that. If you want to print it somewhere else, that's a link to print the poster size. Okay. So I want that to be clear. If you want it big and poster size for yourself, great. Do one of these. If you want it legal, do this one. Doesn't matter. Do all of them if you want. Okay. But I'm going to leave that here for a second.
What is this?
So this is the poster. Okay, so this is the planner.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is the outline. I'm glad you asked that, Sue. So this is what you're going to actually lay everything out on.
Gotcha.
We're going to go into that next. This is what we're getting ready, like fill out and get into the nitty gritty of. Okay. So for now, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see the one I've got on my iPad. But for now, you might just want to download the legal version just so you've got one. Okay. But I'll show you and share my screen with you. Okay. Is everybody good on that? And then remember, you'll have these afterwards. Okay. So here is what's on the bottom of the planner. Okay. It has all of the 12 months. And what you're supposed to do here is take these and start and mark off your time off. And we are going to take a few minutes and do this because, again, we're getting into the workshop part of this. Okay. So I want you to actually complete some of this stuff while you're on this call today. Okay. So here's how you use it. If you are going on vacation next year, I already know April, I go on spring break. So I'm going to draw a line through that week. I also know in February, I go see my mom for a week in Florida. It's usually the second week, and I know that. So I'd go ahead and mark off the second week, right? If you know the exact dates, mark them off. And fall break. Okay. We usually go somewhere fall break. Who knows, right? So I'm going to write all those down that I want. Any vacations you have. Okay. So I want all of you guys to just take a minute on your planner and mark out the weeks you will not be here next year. Okay. So start with vacations. If you're not taking 4 weeks off, I encourage you to. And since this is your plan, you don't have to 100% follow it, but I would recommend set it so you get that time off next year if you want it, right? You can always change it later. After you've got your holidays or your vacations, you want to make sure you mark off any holidays. Okay, so I always know between Christmas and New Year's, I take those weeks off. So I'm just going to mark them, right? I know I'm going to be off until January 3rd next year. Thanksgiving. I'm going to go ahead and mark off Thanksgiving in November to at least know I'm going to miss that Wednesday, Thursday of that week for sure. And I'm actually going to mark off Tuesday because sometimes I cook and I'm not going to lead generate on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And I want to plan conservatively so that I can take it off if I want. Does that make sense? So be generous with yourself on giving yourself that time off that you want and need. July 4th, I always take the week off. Okay, time off. Why is that separate from these vacations and holidays? Because you just may need time off, right? You may need a day before vacation just to be off, to reorganize your life, to do whatever. Okay, so make sure you're building those in. If you don't build them in, that's how we get behind on our numbers. If you create all of this with less than you need, you'll be ahead all year, right? Let's create your goals and your steps and your accountability around the least amount of days in the office. Okay. The next thing, don't forget any annual training conferences you go to. Weeks off. They're all over. July, August, September is a huge time for conferences. I'm always out in August and I'm always out in September for 4 or 5 days for conferences. Make sure those are on there. And then here's the next one. Any standing weekly events. Okay. If you always have a sales meeting on Tuesday morning and can't lead generate Tuesday mornings, I want you to mark those off. Okay. Because here's what the blue represents. The blue is the 3 days a week Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that you are going to dedicate 1 hour to lead gen and 1 hour to lead follow up. That's it. You're going to time block 2 hours on all of these blue days next year, except the ones you cross out. Okay, so if you cross out one, if you cross out every Tuesday because you don't lead generate on Tuesday, that's great. But then you've got to know how many lead generation days you're left with, right? Okay, so I'm going to stop share real quick. And you guys can go into your chat box, or how many of you were able to do that in these last couple minutes? Kind of start marking off some of those weeks or have done this before. What were your ahas? Do you mind sharing, Alyssa?
My ahas are that I don't schedule enough time off.
Ah, that's a great one. A great one. Good. What else? Anyone? What it's really supposed to do is give you a good high level look at your year, right? Because now you can look at, ooh, boy, I am off a lot at the end of the year. I may need extra marketing around that time. Okay. Or I'm off a lot that month because of personal stuff. I may need to front load my lead gen. I'm going to go ahead and share a different screen right now. And we're going to kind of go back and forth for a minute. Cable share. Okay, I'm going to share with you my iPad for a second. Okay, can you guys see that where I've marked on it? Okay, so then what I used to do was literally under each month, like right here for February. Sorry, oh, I have to zoom it this way. So I knew I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days to lead generate in that month. And I would write it underneath every month. Okay. And that would help me, right? I know I'm going to have 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 on that month. Okay. And it's super helpful to see that at a high level. Now, the reason we only do those 3 days is because you can't lead generate more than that really uninterrupted. Okay. So
Thank you.
that's why.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm getting
Welcome,
burned
right?
out on trying to do it 5 days a week.
You can't. You
Yeah.
can't. And what I found is Mondays and Fridays were out. Mondays was everything from the weekend, updating all the sellers, updating all the buyers, studying the market, what happened over the weekend, right? I was not getting any lead generation done on Mondays. And when I had kids, it's the day I've taken off. Now it becomes my weekend. And now I vacuum. How fun is that? But right, I need it. That is survival. Then on Fridays, it all starts going crazy for the weekend. So yeah, I found very quickly that if I tried to lead generate on Mondays or Fridays, it was I was constantly missing it. So when I could do it those 3 hours, 3 days a week, just before 11, I would only time block till 11. Okay. And be real clear with yourself about what days. Now, again, the time you're taking off, right? Those white days, you're going to be working, right? You're going to be showing houses. You're going to be negotiating offers. You're going to be doing appointments. You're going to be doing all that stuff. Absolutely. Which is exactly why we can't lead generate 5 days a week. Okay. So, but you've got to know how many days you have each month to lead generate. You have to still accomplish the same amount of contacts every month, regardless of the amount of days you have to accomplish it. So in February, I'm going to have to do more contacts in February or front load them in January because I'm going to miss some lead gen days. Okay, so that's the entire purpose of going through that practice for yourself. Number one, to make sure the time you want off is accounted for, right? Mm-hmm. Because now if you do all your lead gen you're supposed to, then you might get extra days off at the end and stuff. right? But plan for it. Okay. It also helps you see where you might need holes to fill in your marketing touches because those aren't times when you will be there. Okay. So in my world, when I'm out a lot of November and December, I don't make the big calls that time of year, right? That's when I'm leveraging Christmas cards, Thanksgiving pies, stuff like that, right? That's why you leverage that stuff because you know that's going to be the least amount of time you're going to be actually sitting purposefully doing lead generation. Okay. So use your marketing to leverage the time you won't be there. Cool. Okay. Any other questions on that section of your planner? Mine I printed out before I had that on the bottom, so I got to get me a new one. But I really like having that on your wall at all times, right? To just really have an idea of where you're headed, big months, small months, and that kind of stuff. So I recommend it. That's why I made it a poster. And if you put it in the poster frame, you can use dry erase markers on it.
Ah,
Okay, so
perfect.
you can use it year after year after year, except it won't have the numbers that match up. But yes, so you can do a dry erase on it and move things around and erase and all that kind of stuff also. Okay. All right. So I want to take you back. Hold on. Let me get my screens right because I want you guys to see these next 2 pages of content and then we're going to jump back into the plan. Okay. So now, when you are going to actually plan the year, okay? This is the next step we're going into. What we're going to work on is planning your whole 12 months for next year, your whole 12 months, okay? And, let me see. Nope. Got it? Can you see it? Yeah? Am I sharing? Sorry, I can't. Can I not see any of you guys? Can you see
Yes.
my screen that says client events?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I want you to start now with your marketing ideas, and I want you to start first with your events. Okay. Now I want you to think outside of the box on events because a lot of times when people hear event, they think they have to like rent out a place and have a huge party or something. That is not at all what we're talking about. You can absolutely do that, and some of these are on here. Okay, but you do not have to. All of the things with 3 stars next to them are free. Okay. So do not invest money that you don't have yet. Okay. But here are some great ideas. I want you to pick 1 or 2 for next year that you already do or would like to do. Okay. And if you're willing, I want you to share them. Because let's give people other ideas. I can talk about what works for me, but I love to talk about what works for you guys. Anyone feel like sharing what they're going to use for events or what they're going to use to eventize? I say eventize like that, right? Because I want you to create more hubbub around some things.
Well, I do the pie event, and this year it was even more successful than last year. I had people that have never ordered a pie order them, and I found out about what was it, 3 or 4 referrals coming to me. And then
Love
my
it.
office always does a food truck event in fall, like late September, early October.
Great. Okay. So, Sue, take those, put them on your planner next.
Okay.
Okay. And I may use your ideas for that.
Okay.
Okay. Kurt, yes, thanks. That pet parade, right? Such an easy one. Have them come to your office, right? Wherever you'd want to do it. Simple stuff. The key is to do something that speaks to you and what you like and will show your clients more about you. Okay.
I'd love to hear more about the pet parade.
Oh, sure. And a lot of offices will do it. Like bring your pets from whenever to whenever and dress them up, and we're going to parade them around the office. Then we'll have snacks and treats, and so
Okay.
yeah,
It's pretty easy
uh,
then.
super easy. Yep, super easy. Shouldn't be much money, right? And it's just a day for I love pets. I'd love to see all yours. I'm gonna have, right? Maybe you invite some who knows, some pet associated people to come also that, these are just ideas that we've thrown out and used over the years. Donations are easy ones. Diaper donation, fan donations in the summer. So many organizations need fans for people that don't have air conditioner. Um, Coats for kids, right? This time of year is the best part. So all of those things are already happening. You do not have to create the event. Just glom onto it and use it, right? So you say, hey, you know about coats for kids this time of year. I feel passionately about making sure every child has a warm coat for the winter. If you'd like to help donate any coats this year, I'll come pick them up personally from your house and deliver them for everybody. Okay, so you just be the conduit to the drive. You don't even have to be the person hosting it, creating the event. Okay. Um, Shred truck. That's a great one. People love the shred truck. I'll tell you the other one that we would do is a tox drop. So we would have one day of the year where I would have trucks literally outside of my house. God love my husband. And we would have a shredder and we would take their toxic materials. So we'd have a list of toxic things that you can't just take to the dump. The first Saturday of the month, most counties will take toxic materials. And so instead of having all my clients have to drive their toxic material out there, I said, bring them to me. We're going to be here for these 3 hours. Bring your paint, bring your old computers, bring anything you want to get rid of that's toxic, your batteries, your cleaning products. We will get rid of all of that for you. It was free. It was free. It was a great service. So yeah, get creative and think to things that speak to you. That was one also that worked really well in a neighborhood, right? So think about that. If you have a farm, a neighborhood you're trying to get into, some of these things you can actually host on site in the neighborhood and get, even more. Make sure anything you're doing for your farm neighborhood, you also invite your sphere to. Okay, there's zero reason to have a food truck at your house or in your neighborhood and not just let everybody you know come to have dinner at your house that day in the driveway. Did that one year with Bubs. It was great. Okay, any questions about events and things like that? So the biggest thing you need to do right now is pick what you want to do. Okay, pick your things for next year and know what time of year you kind of want to do them. Okay, because we're going to go there next. Now, guys, we are definitely getting really into the hands-on and planning part of it. Okay, so if you're not in the mood to lay out your year, you're not feeling creative, that kind of stuff, totally okay. All right, this is when you can kind of start hopping off if you don't want to plan. If you want to continue to plan and build it for next year, we're going to get into that now. At least stay on for the next couple minutes just to see how the planner works. Okay. All right. So now you have an idea of the things that you want to do. I'm going to use Sue's. I'm going to put you back onto the planner that I have on my iPad here. And I'm going to find my pen that I put in my pocket. Okay. So here is a sample of my planner on my iPad. Sue does, look, I had the quotes in there already. Sue does the Thanksgiving pies.
Monday and Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
Okay. I'm just
They
going to
come
write
to
that
my
in November in this top section. Let me go through that with you actually first, guys. Sorry. So the top is your topic or your holiday thing that's happening. This top section is for the event. Okay. The second section is for your mailers. It says right here. Okay. This is week 1, we send a mailer. Week 2, we send an email. Week 3, we send a mailer. Week 4, we send an email. Does that make sense? So literally my team, we used to lay this all out every year so that we knew exactly what was going out when. Okay, and we could put it all together. Here's the next part. Okay, see these X's? This tells you when and what the C's through F's should get. Okay, so your A's and B's get all of this. They get all the emails, all the mailers. Remember, we said the C's and F's only get half. And what we needed to systematize was making sure that because the C's through F's were getting half, we wanted to make sure they were still getting some of the stuff and some of the personal. And this was how we figured out to do it. So we would rotate personalized and stock each month. And then I wanted to make sure the month they got a personalized mailer, they got a stock email. Does that make sense? So that seems like silly little stuff, but for those planners, you need that to break it down and to keep it all real nice and clear and know what you're sending when. Okay. And then for each month, you have your social media topics that you can outline. I recommend having 12 a month that are scheduled. That does not mean it's going to be all the social posts you do. It just means it's going to be your scheduled posts, 3 a week, each week of the month. Okay, there are things that can be done ahead of time. They're not timely to the market necessarily. Okay, they are not pertinent to what the news, things like that. Anything like that that's timely. You want to schedule all those ahead of time. And then you'll have another probably 12 or more that are on the spot posts, right? So those little things that are happening all those times, those funny personal things you want to post, what are your kids doing? What are your dogs doing? All that kind of stuff. Okay. So this is just your scheduled posts ahead of time. Okay. That are part of your marketing plan. Does that make sense? Okay. So then to lay out your year, the very first thing you want to do is write in your events. Okay. Because this again is going to be your high level, right? To see where am I already doing stuff that's going to take a lot of communication and where do I need to fill in? Okay. So Sue, you said you do pies in November and you had something else that you did.
Yeah, the food truck event, which is either the last of September or the very 1st of October.
Okay. Say that again. What did you say it was? I was reading
A
Dan's
food
note.
truck event.
Food truck. Great. Okay. So then Sue might look at this and say, that's plenty. I might want to front load. I might need something to eventize in the beginning of the year. I don't recommend more than 2, guys. I think that's just perfect. The other thing is something that you can repeat year after year after year. You heard her say it. The pies went lots better this year than last year, right? And they'll continue to get better and more. And that's what you want. But also make sure you're budgeting for that. Okay. Because that's the other thing. Now you can look at your budget in November and be like, pies is November. My goal this November is to have 10 more people than last year get pies. And I'm going to budget for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She's also going to budget for the food truck. Now she knows in September, there might be a heftier fee if she's getting the food truck, if she has to pay anything for that. Okay. And now she can say, I had this many people this year and I'm going to work real hard next year to get a goal of more people. And I can budget for that. Okay. So then let's start with the months you have events. Okay. So tell me this, does everyone have your 2 events picked and at least have them mapped out on your green section for what those are? Yeah. Give me a thumbs up or at least I'm following you. Okay. Thank you. So now let's jump to, I'm going to start with Sue's fourth quarter because that's where she has the majority of her events going on. Okay. So we're going to look at the food truck event. What would you likely send in September for the food truck, Sue?
I send a save the date text message,
Okay.
then followed by a postcard invite.
Okay. So look at this. The personalized one for August is going to be the save the date for the food truck. Okay. The invite is going to be September for the food truck.
And
Okay.
then the reminder the week of. Don't
Okay.
forget,
And is that a mailer or an email?
text message.
Text message. Okay. Text reminder. Then what will happen in October?
Uh, Text message uh, of remember Thanksgiving pies to make
Yep.
your reservations. And when I need them, the reservations and that your invitations are coming the first week in November.
Great. And that's going to be the invites for the pies.
Hmm.
Okay. What do you do in Christmas or in December?
Christmas cards.
I already knew that, so I could write that in there. Okay. So see how we're doing that? Now, Sue, do you have a place you like to go for your stock mailers? It's okay if
Um,
not.
yeah, I use Client Connection.
Great. So that's what she would put in here for her stock. Client connection. Okay. You might put your broker in here. You might put your title company. I used to love Chicago titles, mailers. And there were certain ones throughout the month that I absolutely loved of Chicago titles, and we made sure to do every year. And one of them was the pumpkin patches. So I always knew I wanted the Chicago title pumpkin patches this month. I wanted the fireworks on the 4th of July, the Chicago title one, right? So sometimes I might use my brokerage. Sometimes I might use a title company. Sometimes I might use something else. Okay. That's the reason those stock blanks are there. If you always use your brokers, just put broker in there and write a line all the way across. Bottom line is broker. Now, all you have to pay attention to is what months do you add the extra, right? What months do you add the extra people, your C's through F's, and need to send those and add those to that? Okay, are you following me? Let's go to emails. Do you have a stock email you send every month?
No, I do not.
Okay. So you can actually, I've got a list. Oh, they're on the slide I showed you earlier. So you can go and look at lots of places that you can get stock emails. Okay, your CRMs likely have it, whatever CRM you're using, it likely has some stock emails in it. You can MailChimp, I mean, they're everywhere. You can go Google, go put it into Chat GPT. I need to create some stock emails. How could I do that? What are the best companies to do that? Those companies will actually send them out for you. That's kind of the stock part of it also. Okay. And then you're going to need your personalized emails to go along with it. Okay. So let's go back here and watch how we're going to work on this whole plan now around these events that Sue has. Okay. So the emails are typically always going to be the same as what my personalized mailers are. So my email is going to be the save the date for the food truck. Okay. My canned one is going to be a Chicago title one. Century 21, I'm going to use for September. And then because I do a Colts magnet in
Oh, yeah.
October, I'm also going to send the email via the Colts schedule via email.
Yeah, I forgot I do that too.
Okay. So now your personalized ones. Okay. So we already know August is save the date. September, the email is the food truck. Now, your save the date and your invite said when, where, all that kind of stuff. Maybe you go into the food truck in more detail. Here's the food that's going to be there. Bring your kids. Here's who it's for, right? You're going to put everything you need on the email. Okay. Now let's stay with the food truck invitation and break that down into as many social posts as we might be able to do. Okay. So, Sue, when in the month is the food truck? Later
Usually
or earlier?
late.
Late. Okay. So we're going to start later in the month and we're going to do a food truck follow up. Thanks for coming. It was so great to see everyone. Now, again, these guys we're trying to make schedulable. Okay. So you may want a scheduled one that says, hey, just wanted to send another special thank you to everyone that was nice enough to come out and see me at the food truck event last night. I love seeing all your great faces. Okay. And then your personal one is going to be the actual pictures of the event, right? Who came? You want to do that the day of. Hey, so excited, such a great night for a food truck, right? That's the ones you're doing all the way throughout. This is the one you can schedule ahead of time, right? You can schedule the reminder invite 2 days before it. Don't forget, Wednesday, the food truck's coming. The day of. Tonight at 6, the food truck will be here. Save the date for the food truck. You want at least 2 of those during the month. Don't forget it's coming. Right? So now, just off that one food truck event, Sue has the majority of her marketing outlined for September.
That's awesome.
Great. I love
That is
it. It's
awesome.
exactly what I'm hoping this tool will do for you. Okay. And then she's going to do the same thing. So the Colts magnets, right? Now, because October is the month I send the Colts magnets, now I want to create 8 of my posts in October around frequent or fun facts about the Colts. Okay. So I'm going to go into chat and I'm going to say, hey, we'll create me 6 social media posts that I can schedule for next year with fun facts around the Indianapolis Colts. Okay, and I'm going to do that. Fun fact, Colts. Fun fact, Colts. Fun fact, Colts. See? So I want you to take what you're already mailing, what you're already eventizing, and use that to do more multi-level marketing with it. Kurt, I love your comment in the chat box, magnetic calendars. That is exactly what I thought about. We used to have those magnetic strips, and you could absolutely do that and then just stick them and move them if you wanted to on there, right? If you needed to switch things around. That's a great idea. Okay. Now, what this also does is shows Sue where she might need to go out and get some other social media posts, right? Like I know what might be there already. What are some other things in October you might want to post about?
Pumpkin patches.
Okay. Yep. What else? What about fall maintenance tips?
Ah, yeah.
Okay. This is where you're going to go into chat. Hey, chat. Hey, buddy. I'm creating my marketing plan for next year. I'd like to have 12 scheduled social media posts to go out in October. What are the most frequently asked questions for my ideal client around housing in October? Uh-oh, and it will tell you. Oh gosh. Oh, I didn't even know I could do that. You guys might not have seen anything. Okay, so then you're going to use chat to fill in the rest of this. Again, that used to be the hardest part of this. I was coming up with all the ideas. Now it's all done for you. It's so beautiful. Okay, so let me see if there was anything else. So let's ask questions. Do you guys have any questions on the planner and how to use it? Anyone?
That's really cool.
You're kind of digging in. Thanks, Sue. It is, yes, it is the tool I always wish we had. Ours never was this pretty. No, it is. So good. I hope it will be a very helpful tool for all of you. And your goal for today, right? So now let's kind of summarize where you need to go from here. Number one, you got to figure out what your gap is. Okay. You've got to figure out, now, Sue, let's go back to if your sphere wasn't big enough.
Mhm.
Then we'd need to look at G's. How are we going to grow it? Where are we going to go for that? And then we're going to do the same thing and lay out the G marketing plan, right? And so you're going to start with, would I invite this farm I want to build? Yes, if my goal is to have 50 of them at the pie event, count on that, right? And then we're going to work to build to see, can we get 50 more people at the pie event just from this whatever farm we build for you to add to your database. Okay. So same thing on here for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. What questions? Now this is so funny because we got through it really fast. But I told you I wouldn't take your whole 2 hours. And I did cut out a bunch of the beginning stuff because I wanted to make sure we had plenty of time. So, okay, you guys ask me questions. Oh, great question, Dan. Let me answer that. Are you doing social posts on both Facebook and personal, business and personal? That is the most common question that everyone gets in regards to posting. And the answer is, I don't think it really matters. Wherever you have the most followers is where you want to post. Whatever communicates the easiest with your Instagram, with your threads, with all that kind of stuff is the one you want to use. Okay. The one that integrates best. So that you just need to be there. You don't necessarily have to overthink the posts and you don't necessarily have to overthink where. It's the consistency and making sure you're working to continue to get those followers that are seeing you and you have enough eyes on you wherever you're posting. Okay. So the whole business and personal conversation is changing right now, right? They used to separate them out very strictly because of the advertising, and now they're kind of merging them back together. So there's not as many rules anymore about watching how many business posts you're putting on your personal. However, what you have to remember is people come to your personal posts and they follow you personally for personal things, right? So if it's a personal page, make sure the majority of it is personal stuff and 25 to 30% of it is business. Flip it on the other one. If it's your business page you're going to post to, you need 70 to 75% of it to be business facing, and make sure 25 to 30% of it is personal also on your business. Okay. So that's the magic, is you got to mix it up. You got to have both on both. Great question. What other questions? Good. Okay. So I am happy to stick around if anyone needs one-on-one help, coaching, talking through a quarter, talking through some ideas. How would I break this down, or anything else you might need on this planner? Also, you know where to get me. So as you're working on this, as you're laying it out, if you're having any troubles, if you need a new copy, just holler. That's what I'm here for. Okay. Awesome. Kurt, I'm glad you were on. Yes, it should translate to really any business. If any of you do not know Kurt Fancher, you should know him. He's from Fancher Mortgage and a fantastic lender. I'm glad you were on, Kurt. Okay, everybody, have a great rest of your year. Work to get your plan outlined. Okay, get it outlined and at least have your first quarter set and ready to go. If you have this all done in the next week, you should be able to do your entire year next year. Let chat help you. Okay, let chat do the heavy lifting. You have the ideas, let it go create your content and your words, and then you can set it and literally forget it for next year. Now, all you have to do all next year is call once a quarter. How beautiful would that be? If all this stuff was just happening behind the scenes and all you had to do was call. Make my contacts, make my contacts. Okay, that should be your goal for everyone. That's how I want you using these tools. Okay. You guys are awesome. You get more time back, and I'll stick around if you need me. Bye. Are you ready? Are you ready? I think John went to a meeting. Did you have questions, Andrew? Okay, cool. Just making sure. All right. I'll see you next week.